I struggle to understand what Love Heals does. It's done.
Hooray. That's exciting. Okay, 2025 is almost done. I was trying to set my cup down quietly so it doesn't make a giant noise. In this year, we've started this full podcast, and we've honestly gone from live streaming, set up with the phone, very blurry, awkward, uncomfortable uploaded videos, to using the actual system. So shout out to Caleb, who made us use the system, and then thank you to Liam, who's been syncing our sound, and thank you to Midstate, who's been our big ol' studio for this year and got this off the ground. And we honestly didn't think we were going to be doing a podcast until a couple years, I think, was the projected when we were going to start it. So that's been cool to kind of watch that grow. And I think at least the people who they know us and follow along with us have really enjoyed, I think, the podcast. And I'd say probably our number one listener is my mother. But we have a couple people who listen. I don't know about religiously, but they listen. We've got a really cool run of little guests. And we've already got some lined up for next year. So that's exciting. But let's talk about 2025 a little bit, because we started talking about how to shoot we're trying to get our content to be more tailored and more educational or entertaining, and trying to keep our content in one of those kind of avenues. So we started talking yesterday about what are some of the things that we learned that we could tell people as people who have started a nonprofit. So do you want to kind of talk about, you made like a little list of some of the things that you feel like we've learned this year?
Yeah. Do you want me to do like the short list, or like just kind of rapid fire different things? And then do you want it to be a mix of professional only or professional and personal?
I don't care. Whatever you want to share.
Okay. Well, if you pay attention to our Instagram, probably later you'll see that we are posting something. When is that other video coming out, by the way? Of the dollar bills.
This week.
The trust fall.
Yeah. I'm just trying to figure out, because we did this superhero thing, and then I feel like we did it so much in 1 week that people didn't respond as well to the last one. So I eased off of it, and now we're going to drop back in the superhero thing. Also, it's a little choppy that we had, in retrospect, that we had this big buildup of Train being a $25 bill man. And now they're just very different storylines that we've shot. So we didn't shoot a cohesive storyline after the last video. So the next one's just very different.
But anyway, while you're texting and being rude to our listeners, all 5 of them,
I was putting it on Do Not Disturb, but then I saw it was Austin, and I was like, I wonder if he's all right.
But anyway, okay, things learned.
If you need to open your phone and look at the list, you can.
I
don't get
just
distracted.
Well, I feel like what you were just talking about is one of the first lessons, which is fail fast. And I think fail fast has meant a lot to me, but I feel like you've quoted it a lot this year. So I would like for you to explain it.
Well, because I think once I realized, so I learned a lot about myself this year that I need to make sure I write down. And by a lot, I mean just like 2 things.
2 major things.
Yeah. The first one is that I'm an introvert. Do you want to switch a chair?
No.
There's so many things that you could do right now that would improve your quality of life in this moment. Ibuprofen, different chair.
Well, why am I always in the broken chair?
I've asked you if you want to switch several times, and you've said
carry on.
No. Okay. Because of the way that my brain is wired. Oh, I learned I was an introvert, and there was something else, and I can't remember what it was. So that's the power of not writing things down. So I think just because of the way my brain is wired, is that last year we had more definitive plans of things that we were going to do in the span of a year, and we got very locked into the initial decision of like, this would be a cool program to try and run. And then we would do it. And if it didn't work, we were just locked into trying to make it work. And because what?
Can I say, without causing any issues, that I do think that my personality is more wired for the failing fast. So I think I was operating out of my strength more in 2024. Of like, actually, how about this? You finish what you're saying.
Okay.
I have a way to tie it in, but then I realized you should finish what you're saying and then I'll tie it in.
That's so nice. So I think we'll just call it our core team in 2024 was a little more locked into initial decisions needed to be followed through on. And because of the way that my brain is wired, like I'm a type A/B, not a type B personality, which is I like to know the plan. But if you tell me that the plan is there's no plan, then I'm like, okay, cool, that's the plan. And I'm a lot looser as a human being. So I think in 2024, I was a little more on the vein of, well, the plan is to do the thing. And I also think that there was a lot of things we were trying, and I don't think that you can have accurate information on if something works or not unless you've tried it for a certain amount of time, like you have a decent sample size. But in 2025, I think we've kind of figured it out a little, like halfway through this year, that if we just accept that X, Y, and Z was a flop and adjust it and try it again, then we move a lot quicker and we actually get a lot more done and our programs work a lot better. Like stuff just becomes way more efficient quicker. Which to me, that was my brain rewiring as the plan is that the plan is loose. So the second that my brain switched into the plan is to fail fast instead of the plan is to see if we can make this one concept work. Does that make sense? Yeah. The second my brain made that switch, it freed me up a lot for us to make decisions and pivot. So yeah. Now what were you going to say?
What I was going to say was back in 2023, there was a very critical conversation that happened that I will say was good, but wasn't done well. I won't get into the details of what it was, but it involved 3 people. And in it kind of was like, I used a word that this other person didn't have the same definition of the word. And because there wasn't the same definition, there was like mass miscommunication. And the word it was pivot, because I was like, I'm always thinking through how to be prepared to pivot. But pivoting to me doesn't mean going off course. It just means moving. And for this person, pivoting meant completely changing everything. And so that really locked in my brain, I think, a new level of like fear, I think, for myself, to being afraid to move in decisions because people wouldn't get behind it.
Yeah.
And so my natural wiring is to try things and fail fast. And then through the course of working with other people, and this is not to say that working with other people is bad. I think it's like the hard work you have to do to learn who you are and then how you operate around others. So in that process, definitely became more stuck, more experiences with analysis paralysis. Like I've never really had that before. I've had it, but like, I'm really one of those people who says, let's push all the doors and see which one opens because something will open. And then if 2 open, let's go down both hallways and see what's going on. Like, I'm just very much like follow where things are opening. And early on, we were just between different personalities and then people on the team or people who were trying to like speak into the organization. I think we're coming from a very, very good, well-intentioned lens, but it was a lens that was more established than we realistically were. And so they were trying to bring, in a helpful way, they were trying to bring establishment and order to chaos, which is important. However, timing is really important, and we still weren't ready to be locked into ideas when we still weren't 100% sure which ideas worked. I mean, little things for, like, we say we're going to work with churches to do worship nights. And then that proved to be really difficult. And I think one of the challenging parts is, like, especially in the faith community, not to like cast any shade or judgment on the faith community, but sometimes they can cast a lot of judgment on you. And so even like the way we've kind of been treated,
that's judgment. I think that's
yeah.
I think that that's just, you and I have had experiences with people in the faith community who have not been like the most helpful. Like, that's not, I don't think it's judgment. I think that's just recounting experience.
So yeah, I guess so for our, or my, or like Love Heals experience, like we had this idea to work with churches. Churches ended up being very, very, very difficult to work with. And so in my nature, we were kind of stuck between people who wanted to see a plan that was being followed through, and then like what we're actually experiencing is like, this is not moving. And if we keep staying here, this won't move anymore. So it's like, and balancing all that stuff out. And then like through the religious standpoint, and not even, I mean, I say religious, like faith, whatever you want to call it, institution. Even just seeing like people don't always follow where you go. Like we've had people who have stopped supporting us for one reason or another. If we're not Christian enough, if we're too Christian, if we're this, if we're that. And so it's been definitely a pain point for sure. But I think the important part is moving quickly through the world to figure out what works and doesn't work. I think that's like the main thing. And like, you're going to lose people along the way, because we have, but like better to lose them and to figure out where you actually need to be than to carry the weight of 50 different opinions. Like that's where the paralysis comes in. And so we are learning to loosen that baggage or those like chains of opinion and just move loosely through the world to get the most done. And so it's been a lesson this year for sure.
Yeah. I think this year, like, you regained the freedom to operate in that, which is a strength for you. And did the chair break again?
It did. It's fine. I'm leaning forward. Maybe I could, well, I would like for you to finish that sentence, but hold on. Let me try this.
Okay.
Let me just, what if I just sit like this, and then I'm like naturally leaned forward?
Well, I should have said this to you before you origami'd your legs in there, but I was going to say, I think I actually normally turn your chair a little bit more towards me so your neck doesn't hurt as much. So maybe turn your chair a little bit more towards me.
I can't.
Okay.
Can you help?
Okay, hold on. Hey. The whole chair is unstable. Don't shake it around.
IKEA. Excellent.
So is that better?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So I think this year you regained the freedom to operate in a strength, which is fail fast and keep moving and like pivot. And I think this year learned what it is to fail fast, and pivot. Cause yeah, that was a hard year. Well, and my brain is just very like, if this is what we're doing, this is what we're doing. So once we had decided this year we tried this, that was how my brain filtered things. Is like, this year we're doing this. So once we figured out this year we're failing fast and making adjustments and trying to be as nimble as humanly possible in our growth, that freed up a lot of stuff in my brain, which actually was a huge relief. And I think assisted in some of my like mental capacity for this year and how we have done some very specific growth, I think, in how we want to and do function this year. So that was a good one. That was a bigger one for me, and I think a regained one for you.
Yeah, I just heard you quote it a bunch of times. So I was like, oh, that one must have stood out.
Yeah.
So that's good.
You're a detective.
Yep. Very intuitive.
No, yeah, it's good. I think that one was a very freeing one for this year.
Good. All right, number 2. Energy movers.
Yeah.
That one probably means more to me, I would think.
Yes.
Okay, so I'll talk on that one. Energy movers. I struggle to understand what Love Heals does.
What was that one? Frick, I can't hear it. I thought it was the applause.
No, don't do it again. The crickets was perfect. No, it's hard for me. And I know other people are like, you do this, you blah, blah, blah. Like, I know what we do. I'm not stupid because, we do it every single day. But I'm talking about when you look at a marketplace, right, through the business perspective. I'm not selling you a cup. I'm not selling you a service.
Have cups, though, for sale.
We do have cups. Take them.
For Christmas.
Buy them.
No, you have to buy them. Don't take
Merry
them.
Christmas. We have merch too that we need sold. That's a good, right? Goods and services make sense to me. This nonprofit world is still really hard for me to understand sometimes. I'm like, okay, I get the concept. So maybe if someone's listening to this and they understand it better than me, reach out. I would love to hear your perspective. But how do you place a value, a market value price on a feeling? I know you could call it a service, but like, how do you quantify that? How do you quantify the feeling of goodwill? How do you quantify the feeling of local support? How do you put a price tag on somebody wanting to see something accomplished? Because I understand at a core level that Love Heals is doing more than just like what appears on the surface. And I understand that people want to see the work we are doing be done and they don't have time for it. So I understand the exchange of time. And so it's like, do you value it at like how many dollars per hour would an event promoter get paid? How many dollars per hour would a caseworker get paid? Where do you quantify it? And that's where I struggle constantly. So I think for me, just like, it's hard for me to sell what I don't understand. Sell in quotes. That's why you see me so passionate about our storytellers, because it's like that I can understand. My brain wraps around it. And that's why we also pair experiences in exchange for your financial support to somebody else. And so that's always made sense to me. You pay for a concert, why not figure out a way to make the concert benefit somebody who's sick? If you pay for a 5K, why not that money go be used locally for people who are, again, sick, ill, isolated, whatever. All of those things you can do, things you love for others. So, but as far as how do you place a dollar value on it? Very hard. So energy movers, it doesn't necessarily answer that question, but it helped me see some value, and I'll give you the exact story. The story was, I was talking to somebody.
Are you going to explain what energy movers is after the story?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the story was that somebody I know somebody we know went to the hospital. Somebody else we know was helping coordinate efforts around this person who was in the hospital. And I was talking to this person who's coordinating the efforts, and he's very overwhelmed and very everybody wants to do something. Everybody wants to help everybody this, everybody that. And I don't know. And I'm just trying to get very stressed. And I was kind of able to just talk to him from my experience of well, here's what I think should happen. And here's this, and this. So it's very easy. Yeah. He was like, yes, that's exactly right. And I was like, yeah, I think the more we do Love Heals, the more we realize our job and our responsibility is to move energy. Because when a tragedy happens, energy is just thrusted onto that family, that person, that whatever. Energy to help bring meals, energy to offer services, energy to XYZ. But if you've noticed with people, we only have energy at the beginning. We tend to lose the longevity or the ability to kind of track with a person. So it's like we're always there for the immediate emergency. We're rarely there a year down the road when the lingering effects are still like taking over that person. And so I think what's cool that Love Heals does in practice is not only do we help organize energy when it's all thrusted onto somebody at the beginning, and honestly sometimes not helpful at all, because what they don't need is probably a meal train when they're in the hospital. Like that's actually not going to work.
Yeah.
But what they will need,
hospitals don't like that.
right? But what they will need in 6 months is a meal train. So it's being able, and it's a skill. I don't know how to value the skill, but it's a skill to be able to look at these complex situations and move the energy where it needs to be, or then revamp the energy once it's been fizzled out. So like all the meal train people who got really excited, there is a skill set and a need to harness that desired force for good that can't be functioned on or used at that moment, and allow like helping them shift it from now to being just as important in 6 months when they've already moved on to the next cataclysmic thing.
Yeah.
Because we're people, and like that's just how it goes. So somebody has to be capturing, moving, organizing, revamping energy, restoring it, bringing it back, galvanizing it, sifting through it, moving it, giving it a purpose, because just unfiltered energy, I mean, in life, anywhere where you see just energy not controlled or not stewarded is a little bit problematic. So anyway, that was helpful for me to see some of the value of what we do, which is not assigning, but moving people through.
I think we provide like a channel.
Yes.
For people to have that energy.
And use it for good.
And our show, I mean, we've seen our shows be able to revamp that energy
100%.
Often,
where people are tired and they're burnt out, and like they've been walking with this person for 5 years.
Yeah.
They're tired. And then like just to have that burst where we can kind of come back through and get people re-excited, that's like very valuable.
Well, and we get so distracted by what's the loudest thing.
Carry on.
Yeah. We get distracted by what's the loudest thing. And I think just like as people, we forget how, like if it's a chronic illness or something, we forget 2 years later that someone's still dealing with that illness in the same severity as when it initially started.
Or a loss.
Grief comes in, talk with Wendy about this a decent amount, but like grief comes in these very unpredictable waves, and you kind of are just subject to it when it hits. Or it comes in seasons. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. So that just helped me put some value on it. Like it's not just because I really care about producing value. If we aren't producing, it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be 100% at its maximum value. But if you're not producing value and you're just producing, I don't want to be that person. I don't want to be that organization. So if I just need those little moments of clarity to like, remember this is good. And it's an actual value it's actual asset to the community to have this. It's not just like something to have. So anyway, that was that one. Okay. Yeah. Number three. What was the one that we put in the script and then deleted? Do you want to talk about that one?
Is that concerts and content? Or?
Yeah. Concerts and content.
Well, you had that, we'll call it a revelation. So if you want to talk about that, and I will weigh in my thoughts as well.
Super brief. I mean, just like niche. I'm learning the freedom that comes through having a niche. It's just figuring out what that means and what to narrow in and focus on. But
which, can I pause really quick? Are you going to lose it?
No, probably. But go ahead.
Well, no, I guess never mind.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's funny that in 2023, we were so open to literally helping like any cause, essentially. And when we narrowed it down to medical, I would not have thought there was a way that we could narrow even more. Like
Really?
Yeah, I just like...
could have gone to just diabetics. It could have gone to just cancer patients, just breast cancer patients.
Yes. No, I don't mean in that way. I just mean I would not have thought there was something else initially when we first narrowed it down to medical, that there was another way we could take medical and trim it. Not to a specific diagnosis, but in the process of what we were doing as Love Heals, I didn't really think there's a way that we can narrow down doing concerts for people in medical crisis even more. Does that make sense? You look confused.
I think so. I'm thinking we're thinking about two different things when it comes to narrowing down, because I think there's like 50 million ways we could narrow it down when it comes to what bills we'll pay out, when it comes to what income we serve.
I guess I'm not saying in the action of, I don't know how to express this. I don't know how to say what I'm thinking. Because what the narrowing down you're talking about that we're about to talk about is taking exactly what we still do and not really changing anything, but still narrowing it down, right?
Into buckets.
Kind of. Yeah, but I never would have processed. But again, I'm not wonder and invention. Like, I would not have processed that we could take exactly what we're still doing and just squeeze it into something a little more specific while still doing concerts, while still helping all medical crisis.
Coffee for caregivers.
Yeah, all the things. I just wouldn't have thought. It's just interesting, which I guess, again, is how our brains are vastly different. But I just wouldn't have thought we could narrow it down anymore.
Yeah, and it might not be actually what you're saying in narrowing down as much as it is a focus on what's there.
Yeah, better.
Which is, if we're doing concerts, that's what we need to focus on. Why? Because our concerts is where our whole mission becomes alive. Mm-hmm. Our concerts are where people get to tell their story. Our concerts is where people come together for human experience, fun, philanthropic. It's where the creative community meets the philanthropic community, meets the local community, meets the business community. It's where we merge all of our worlds together for these moments that are just divinely human. Mm-hmm. And the money goes out and it does its thing. So like, concerts are a no-brainer. They have to stay because they are our mission. But then content was something I think we've just ignored a bit. Not because you're doing a bad job or I'm doing a bad job. I just think we've been so busy trying to execute the things that we haven't captured the things. And so content is going to be a key focus in 2027 or 2026 of like, what does it look like to do this thing? What does this look like? Coffee for Caregivers, what are their stories? Where did they come from? Why are they there? That, like, everything we actually do is content. So in a way, like, I guess that's where I was getting confused, because to me, concert and content don't narrow. It only highlights our focus. Because
narrowing is a better word, I guess, not, or highlights, not narrowing. Sorry.
Yeah, because it's still the same. It's just our focus is shifting to pay attention to how can that be content? How can that tell a story? How do we get that involved with these people? How do we show all these things that are happening? Yeah. And not overthink it, but just get it out there. So anyway, that's concerts and content for 2026.
Yeah. So those will be two major focuses.
Yeah. Okay, the last one. Can I throw in a bonus one?
Sure.
I was on the treadmill the other morning and I was thinking about a tool shed, and it's just like, I don't know. I haven't been able to stop thinking about it.
That's the whole bonus thought.
And that's
the
it.
End.
I can't stop thinking about tool sheds because I just love them and I know exactly what they are. But no, I was thinking about if I was to inherit a tool shed full of what?
Sorry, just this as a thought in and of itself is hilarious.
Why?
Just now hearing it kind of isolated. Nothing. It's good.
Because why would I inherit that?
No, it's a really good thought. It's just a funny wind up.
It is a funny wind up.
But the process is really, it's really good stuff.
But continue. For some reason, that's all I was thinking of. It's probably because I wouldn't know what to do with it, which is exactly why I thought of it. But like, you could replace it with anything else. So I was like, man, if I inherited like $500,000 worth of tools, I would have no idea how to get anything but equal or lesser value from that. I would only know I would only know how to use those tools to either sell them at cost or sell them at a depreciated value. So that's all I would know how to do. But if you gave those tools and put them in the hands of someone who's a builder, then they would look at them and they would see millions, because they would know that those tools can produce, like that warehouse has the capacity to produce infinite amount more than what I would know how to do with it, with my knowledge. And so I was just thinking, and again, I don't know why it's been such a fascinating thought, but I'm like, what is it that I know that only knows how to trade in at market or lesser value, like a depreciated value? Like, what are the things? And then how am I paying attention to my knowledge to produce more, or multiplication of more than just what it looks like on the surface? Honestly, that could be coming from, now that I'm thinking about it, and I can't remember if I listened to this before or after, but it was at the .com Secrets book.
Before or after the tool shed?
After the vision of the, like, So yeah, he was talking about how to sell a phone for. Yeah, it might have been right around the same time. He was like, I could sell this iPhone for $600. And like, by the end of this, you're going to want to buy it. He was talking about how to create value and create offers.
He said to a room of people essentially that, like, I have an iPhone up here. It's a new iPhone. He said, I have the new iPhone. I just got it, paid $600 for it. By the end of this presentation, I'm going to guaranteed get someone in this room to pay like $100,000 for it or something.
Yeah, that was it.
And he basically said, who right now, just being aware that this is the newest iPhone, who would give me $100,000? Obviously no one raised their hand. But then he started telling them different contacts he had on the phone, different ebooks he had purchased and sifted through and categorized, and software he had downloaded, and all of these things that he had spent thousands and thousands of dollars on, and relationships cultivating, and all these things. And by the end of his presentation, I think he had some guy standing up on stage literally willing to give him $750,000 for that phone, because after hearing the contacts in it and all the things that he listed, they realized that with just the information in that phone, they could easily recoup $750,000 and more.
Right. And so I think I probably listened to that before, but then the imagery of the tool shed for me was, I think I was thinking, like, if someone handed me that phone, would I know how to extract that much like value from it? How much value do I know how to extract from a situation?
Well, that's why no one else in the crowd, I think by the end of his presentation, he only had 2 people willing to bid that, but it was a massive conference room.
Yeah.
And no one else,
have
they
to
don't know how to do it.
Yeah. How to leverage. Like, it's not, and I think that's what probably stood out to me. It's like, it's not enough to know, and it's not enough to even have. Like, it's not enough to know the right people, and it's not enough to have the right context. You have to know how to use what you have. And that's where probably the imagery of the tool shed came in, of like, boy, that would be worth so much to the right person and worth so little to me. And so it made me want to look at, like, okay, what is it? And I've been thinking about that for this whole year. And you know that, like, talk about it all the time. We don't have money. We don't have major financial backers.
Surprise.
We don't have a major business saying anything. Like, we are not hyper well funded. We have amazingly generous friends and family and people who support us at a monthly or a one-time basis, and they are the people of why we're still here.
100%.
But it's not major. It's not a huge backing. We don't even have a donor above, like, I don't know, what's something a lot of nonprofits are used to getting. We don't have like a donor who would give us like probably $15,000, $20,000. Like, we don't have that. And like a lot of nonprofits do. So I'm just saying, like, we're kind of out here figuring out how to build this thing and figuring out how to create the value. But like, what we do have is raw talent, and what we do have, and that is probably why it stood out to me so much, because I'm constantly looking at these rooms and I see these people, like videographers, photographers, social media people, creatives, non-creatives, business people, people who do volunteer work, people who are willing to write thank you cards, people who have ideas that are great. Actually, somebody sent me a good idea the other day about how to get people involved. And I was like, that's a great idea. Now back to the energy mover thing. We only have so much energy to output before we run out. So it's like, well, we're on a capital limit. We're also on an energy limit. So it's like, you have to learn how to shoulder up with the others and not use them how you think you need to use them, but use them how they're wired to be used. Like, cause if it were up to me and my flesh or my brain, I'd be like, I just want everyone to give us money and we'll figure that out. But like, in a way, that's like the easy way out. Like the true skill, like the true, like learning how to use that tool shed is when you learn how to use what's around you and leverage it far beyond $1 or $50 or $100, but you're leveraging so much more talent, humanity, all these things. So I've just kind of been looking around at these people, one, grateful for them, and two, like, how do we start to build on them? And I still don't know fully, but I know we're getting there. Like, I know we're getting to a place where we can build on other people who are wanting to be built on, not like forcing them.
The closest we have ever been to that, I think, which is good. So that was your bonus one?
That was my bonus thought, which I think leads into a bonus revelation for you of control.
Oh, that was the other thing I learned this year. In addition to learning that I'm an introvert, I learned I have control problems, which I just, as someone who very much, I think this is why it was, okay. First of all, when I said that to Heather the other day, I was talking to our friend Heather Allen, and she burst into uncontrollable laughter, which was great and humbling, because she was like, duh. I was like, oh, okay, cool. But I think because in my brain, I am just happy to tag along with what people are doing. Like, I enjoy kind of just going along with what people are doing. My assumption of myself is that I don't have control issues because I'm just kind of chilling. The reality is that I do have some control issues, and I don't always just chill. So I don't even know fully how I came to that. You've been saying it a lot this year, which I think was, you said it before I realized it, which bugged me a little bit, because I was like, no, I don't. You're being a jerk. Because you're like, well, yeah, you have control issues, or yeah, well, that's control. Which I was like, okay, I'm sure you're probably right, but I'm just going to keep moving. Because a lot of the things I have on my plate currently, as far as Love Heals goes, is like the podcast content, things that we need to figure out. And we've been saying it a lot this year, and even some last year, of things that we need to figure out how I'm able to like package and delegate to others, which my concern is that I've spent a good couple years kind of cultivating and creating our brand and what goes out on socials and what goes out everywhere. So I did not want to hand that over to other people.
So Sarah's why we haven't grown. No, just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I'll quit. I'm just kidding.
Now. I do remember being like, you know what this phrase means when you say it's easier if I just do it myself. That
it is easier.
Sure. Easier is not always better. So
it's quicker though.
Quicker is not always better.
Yeah. No, this year
I gotta leverage.
Yeah. This year, I think it actually finally started to catch up with me, because there's just a lot. There's a lot that we need to be in constant conversation about, which is some of how we're able to, going back to that fail fast thing, is like, I do need to be freed up for us to fail fast, is just the truth.
And I want to give a quick example, like, just to make
my controlling nature.
No. Well, yeah, but no. Good. Well, like, there's certain things where I was like, that every minute that you spend editing a podcast or whatever is a minute that you could be spending cultivating relationships or building out. Like, so you have a podcast, right? Okay. This is what we're going to talk about here soon after we come off. But like, you can have this, but what it takes actual thought and like thinking through and developing ideas and executing, and then having someone else do the editing so that we can be thinking through how to monetize.
Yeah.
How do we create the ideal listener? How do we create avatars? Who do we want to be listening to? How often are we checking in with who's listening? How often are we building that audience? How are we building that audience? What does that audience want to learn? What are we learning that we can give to that audience? How do we build value around them? And then what type of sponsors or business advertisers or whatever can we get behind to back it and then create connection points for the audience and the business? Okay, that's all stuff you probably can't get an intern to do.
Yeah.
That's where I need Sarah to be thinking. And so we've been having those discussions.
For me to be controlling at a higher
at
rate.
a different rate. Yeah. So now I was like, I need you to not be spending 6 hours editing, because it just takes that much time for anyone who's had to design anything, edit anything, like design it. It takes so long to make those micro adjustments to get it how you want it to look. But those are things you can hand off. What you can't hand off is the development side of what is the overall marketing strategy. What goals do we have, and how are we going to actually get there, and what's the plan? And then when you start adding in monetization, I mean, now we're thinking all sorts of things when it comes to views, when it comes to regularity of posting, when it comes to collaborative efforts with other podcasters, other social media platforms. And then on top of that, all the other meetings that have to happen when it comes around development, operations, budgeting, website design, messaging, like and all of that is still excluding the shows, coffee for caregivers, contacts with venues, contacts with bands, contact with volunteers, and then our own fundraisers that we have to do that also require about 30 different points of contact for each thing. So like, that's where I was like, can you let go of this thing so that you can do this other stuff that's really important? And we're getting closer. Okay, bye.
Yeah, that was a lot. Yeah, so I learned that this year. So that's been a thing I'm digesting, in addition to like just some other life lesson things. So I think that I'll be stepping back from the editing the podcast, and we're looking for some people that'll fill that slot. But yeah, so that was a fun thing that I learned this year.
Ta-da.
Yeah.
All right, last one. I don't know like how to bullet point the phrase, but we just learned that Love Heals. The tour taught us that Love Heals actually doesn't need to create events. We need to partner with events. And our positioning needs to move from promoter, booking agent, tour manager to advocate and collaborative partnership. Because again, you only have so much energy. So for every conversation between venue, artist, backline, sound production, hospitality, XYZ, list all the things. Like for every decision that has to be made there, that's time taken away from cultivating the experience for the customer or the donor, and then the storyteller. And we need to be in the position of advocacy way more than we need to be in the position of independence of our events. So it might... Well,
and honestly, independence within our events was a bit, ironically, suffocating this year. It really like locked us in, because that was the whole point of the tour was, excuse me, was that if we have our own artists, have our own whatever, our own booking, blah, 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 then we get to control it and we're free to kind of do what we need to be doing. But it actually really locked us into having to be a booking agent, having to be things that are not in our strength. And
it just takes time.
And the other people already do. Like other people do that.
It's just too much. It's too much time spent not executing the mission. And that doesn't work for me, because that's not what we're not asking donors to come alongside us so that we can go do a whole job that other people could just do. They're supporting us because we can do something that they can't. And so anyway, just figuring that out.
Bless you.
Anyway, we're figuring that out because, through this year, I was going to say something right before. I'm trying to remember what it was. Do you remember? I was winding up and then you
Do I
started saying
remember what
something.
you were going to say?
I started to say like a sentence. Well, oh well. That's that though. That's what we learned. So hopefully, I think I was going to say 2026, it might look, we still might have some events that are like Love Heals put it together. My hope is to get away from that.
Well, that goes into talking about our two kind of directions for 2026.
Yeah. Are we going to talk about that now? Because it's already 58 minutes. So
yeah, I know. I mean, I really wanted to.
I mean, I could just go over a quick highlight. I don't think we need to go in deep.
No, I wasn't saying we go in deep. My hope was that. Bless you. My hope was that all of this would kind of be like.
Cool. Well, okay. So 2026 might look like some of our own events. Most of it, though, we're going to call plug and plays, which is where we plug Love Heals almost as an addition onto an event that exists. So if there's music happening at a brewery or if there's event happening or whatever, we can just actually, we just learned through the tour, we actually don't need to tour the band. We need to tour us and our model. And that makes it a lot more nimble and a lot quicker to move.
Yeah.
It allows us to go to more cities more quickly. We just become just way faster, which is really incredible. So next year we'll do a tour again, but we'll be touring Love Heals to locations and events, not with a band, not with all the other overhead and expenses. So
we'll get the nominations that come in still, and then we'll basically find out what events are happening in that person's location that we're going to, Lynchburg or outside of Lynchburg. And then we'll just take our Love Heals element, use some stage time, take the mic, share QR codes, share the story. So we plug in the Love Heals element to pre-existing shows. Yep.
And then the other one is going to be a trial. We're calling it Love Heals Live. I don't know how well it will do in Lynchburg, but we have a lot of opportunity in Richmond for it to start up.
Yeah.
And probably Charlottesville too. But this one is one that we can build on the backs of the community itself, like the creative community especially, not necessarily us, because that's what our limited growth is us. Like we limit ourselves. So it's getting everything off of us. But we want to start Love Heals Live, which is going to be like this merge experience of thinking of TED Talks meets So Far Sound house show style events where it's acoustic singer-songwriter unplugged, more storytelling for the singer or songwriter or musician, and then bringing in a TED Talk style storyteller to share their journey through a medical experience or a loved one's medical experience, and then positioning them to be a voice for the people who are going through it now, and then using the ticket sales from that to go into a fund, and the fund stays local to the community and goes to people who need the support or financial help. So that is the plan with Love Heals Live. We'll trial it for 6 months in Lynchburg.
Yeah.
It might work here. It might not. It might work really well in Richmond. It might not. It's just something that we're going to try. And again, if it doesn't work, that's okay.
Yeah. We just
crazily enough, if it doesn't work, that's okay.
Yeah. And the person who shares their story will not be in immediate medical crisis. So the money raised from the Love Heals Live shows will not go to the storyteller at that show. No. But it will go into what Courtney said, the Love Heals fund. So when we get those smaller, kind of don't really need an entire show to assist that person or need assistance quicker than we can put a show on, because it takes a long time to put on a show. Yeah. Hopefully the fund will be built up to be able to distribute and
that's like the
immediate need.
That's the limiting factor right now for us.
Right.
It's one of the limiting factors is if someone
limiting factors.
Yeah. We have a lot of those. If someone has a need now where we have to say, let me see if I can put together a whole thing for you. And that is a crazy business model.
It can take a couple of months, and depending on venue or band, and then it also, and then we have to promote it. Because we don't really make the money for the person if we don't promote it.
So much work on us.
Yeah. So we'll be kind of building up funds for the local community. And then the one that we're hoping to kind of launch in Richmond will be building up funds for people in Richmond. So those are the two big focuses that we have for 2026 is Love Heals Live and our plug and plays.
One, to keep us positioned to be proactive and one position to keep us reactive.
Yeah.
Plug and plays allow us an easier way to react. It allows us quicker reaction time because the event was already going to happen and it already has a built-in audience.
Yeah.
So all we're doing is advocating, which is one of our strengths. And then the Love Heals Live allows us to create meaningful events that are proactive and ready to support. And then if we dish out money to somebody, they can come back and be a Love Heals Live speaker the next month or something like that. So that's the thought process. We'll see if it works. We'll report back next year this time.
This time next year? Oh, yeah, because it'll be almost 2027. Yeah.
This was good.
Nice. That's good. All right. Well, then, any parting words for the end of season 1?
Don't drink and drive. A
Thanks,
good
guys.
reputation is worth more than riches.
Okay. Those are it. Okay, thanks, guys.
Not all who wander are lost.
I went to the gym today.
Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
No. It's not that crazy.
What gym did you go to?
The one that I'm a member of.
You have a membership still?